Please, Vitushin and Daraja! He's in the pod. Vishy's on the pod. Hey!
Vishy's on the pod. So Vishy's on the pod.
Come on, you've been globetrotting.
I have a little bit, yeah.
But as predicted by me, he trotted all the way home in the end. Hey?
They always go crawling back, don't they,
Keep
Marcus?
coming back to old Blighty.
Oh, guys, I've actually been doing really well on the round, and I think I might better do a bit more somewhere else. So I'm just going to crack on and explore some more opportunities, really. Here he is back.
I'm going to do a cricket-themed solo tour in India.
I'm going to go to New Zealand. I'm really popular there, apparently. I've got producer Roy to run the data, and they love me in New Zealand, so I'm going to go there for a bit.
Uh-huh.
Get back here, you clown.
Oh, dear.
Oh, I tell you what, though, coming up at the end of the show today, Marcus, tell everyone what's happening.
Oh, it's going to be big. It's a unification.
It's the first ever Jack's Encyclopaedia unification bout.
I don't need to be here for this, do I?
All you
What do you mean? What do you mean?
All you do.
Yeah, do you want to dip out and come back for Jack? Oh, no, we've got Man United. You can't go anywhere.
Oh, we've been waiting for you, Vishy.
It was when I was in New Zealand, maybe a week in, so it would have been a week after the Manchester derby, where United lost the first of their however many 6 games in December.
Strange place to go to cover it, but there we are.
Yeah, well, someone, a fan of the Ramble, who was also there watching England, was like, "Oh, are you doing the Ramble?" I was like, "Well, no, not from out here." And he's like, running scared, and I was like, "We're here for the same reason. What are you talking about?"
No, they can both things can be true. You can be running scared and have to do your job.
What's the furthest point away on the map?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Oh, Elon, let me go to Mars with you.
I also, this is how worldwide the Ramble is. You can't escape it because I was in New Zealand.
Don't tell me the Musketeers are a fan of us.
Well, I was in DC while they were preparing for the inauguration.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in a bar.
Did you volunteer again?
No. They wouldn't let me stay around to the 6th.
They said that's for a place full of place now, isn't it? Yeah.
They said I had to be a certain distance away. But it's a place called a No Goodbyes Bar at the Lion Hotel. I was in there meeting some friends, and it just happened that Liam, who runs the bar, is a Ramble fan.
Hey!
Of course he is.
My second favourite, Liam.
Exactly.
Yeah. Came over, said, "I'm not going to talk to you about Manchester United, don't worry."
Ah, what a man!
Yeah. But we are.
Yeah.
So strap yourself in.
Yeah.
Great stuff. It's great to have you back, though, Vish.
It is.
It's great to,
Yeah. I thought, if he comes back now, they're about 10th, that'll be funny.
Yeah.
That's the worst. Okay, so that is the worst thing. You've been to New Zealand. Sometimes when you're away and like football results happen, and even when you watch them, you're like, "Oh, it was weird. It doesn't quite feel the same here."
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Oh, Manchester City doing really badly. God, I wish I was home." Changed very quickly. Very quickly.
Exactly. They're vying for it. They're vying for the most useless.
Well, you're back ahead of the big one on Sunday, 4:30. It was the fixture that Sir Alex Ferguson looked forward to the most. Liverpool versus Manchester United. I wonder if he's looking forward to this one. At first versus 14th.
So that's Liverpool in first, Vish. They're top of the table at the moment. And it's Man United the one in 14th, in case you're wondering.
Do you remember when, I can't remember who it was, but someone posted a screenshot of the Premier League table, and I had to click to expand the photo to see Manchester United's position on that table.
Yeah, now you know what it feels like. Well, now, after Newcastle beat Manchester United 2-0 at Old Trafford on Monday night, Jim and I did a react.
I remember.
And I was hammering Amorim about playing
Ruben Amorim.
Exactly. Ericsson and Casemiro in the middle of a four.
And rightly so.
Right, thank you. I thought you put me back. And then there was a few comments about, well, who else is he going to play? No, this is long-term strategy, showing the board that they need transfers.
Yeah.
Right, okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shove a load of egg on my face and I'm going to show you that we need a new towel.
Wait,
because I need to mop this up with something.
So you do that, and what I'll do is I'll shit myself in public to show everyone that I need new pants. That's what I'll do.
Exactly, yeah. But what are you going to do the next day?
Don't you get it?
If you've shit all your pants, well, I can't wear my joggers out because that's not. I've got to wear
seep through, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've got to wear the
It's not Christmas
trousers.
for ages, so I'm not getting new ones.
It's a wardrobe issue.
It is.
Just wear shorts. You're better off wearing shorts in winter than you are wearing.
Have you not tried that? Like walking into Reece and shitting yourself and be like, "Well, we've got to give him a new suit." Then. I have to give him a new suit.
I will try it now.
Nothing fits me and Reece, so no. It's rare that given that my personal circumstances, given that having a toddler at home and it's winter flu season and stuff, it's rare that I relish a Ramble react.
Yes.
Because it's the inconvenient time, all the rest of it.
Luke, I couldn't believe my luck.
When I saw that midfield selection,
I thought,
get me on there.
Yeah.
I was relentlessly calling producer Finn, get me on. Put me in, coach.
That man's flu may well have just cleared up now. But all I would say
Casemiro played like he got flu.
If Amorim is listening to it.
Spanish flu.
Yeah. Unfairly named. Spanish
it was
flu.
actually. I think it actually generated in, I want to say, Kentucky.
Right,
and it was a very, very rigorous marketing campaign that got it called Spanish flu.
Yeah,
I think it might have been actually quite racist as well.
Oh, yeah, I was checking. Well, they don't blame anything on foreigners anymore. So it's all
given
fine
it was in the
US.
early 20th century, it's in America, it's almost certainly racist.
Right. Okay. But look, we're all in that horrible mess in the past.
We are.
We don't want to just blame
No,
them.
that's true. Actually,
We just want to make sure.
They're not going to take that from the Brits. Are they?
Exactly.
Can I just
They didn't like it when I went through immigration. I said the British are here. Didn't like it.
Can I wrestle this back to the game just very quickly, just because you've settled on a very, very key issue.
Well, I wanted to lay down the gauntlet to Amorim and say, Eriksen and Casemiro in the centre of a four. Do it again. I dare you. I quadruple dare you.
And I'll say to him, if he's listening, which he isn't, but I'll say to him, if you play those two in a four midfield against Liverpool away from home on Sunday afternoon, it will be a massacre.
But look, when people say, "Oh, but it's a personnel issue," you have other footballers.
Yeah.
So this idea,
Maybe actually they were agreeing with you. Look, it's a personnel issue. I know.
No, but this idea that you've only got those two who can play, so you have to adapt. And this is the thing that I'm now slightly concerned about with Amorim. I think he'll still be there, by the way, come the end of the season. And I think if he's given, well, I don't know how much spend they'll be able to do in January, but you would imagine
Apparently none.
this is the problem. This is the problem.
None, unless, and it's one hell of an unless they're able to offload Casemiro even on loan because his wages are north of 300,000.
Where's it going to go? This is the problem with. It's actually a Premier League problem more broadly, but it's in microcosm in Manchester United. These players aren't going to go anywhere because you gave them a ridiculous.
Rashford's the only
Rashford's
one.
a great example. But Vish, you're back on the scene. Be interesting to get your take on this because
9-0.
I just mean the situation generally because it's a personnel issue, fine. But every single time you pick a player in a game, it's a personnel issue.
But let me just quickly before Vish, the personnel issue is okay, fine. But this is with Amorim with this system that he's saying, that this is my system and this is what we're going to do. You can see it's not going to work this season. So to have a little bit of pragmatism. Have you never seen a footballer been asked to do a slightly different job for a specific match? It happens all the time.
Yeah.
So if you are going to be horrendously overrun in midfield, I don't know, stick Ahmad in the middle. Do you know what I mean? Just to bolster. But he's not a central midfielder, but he's a body. Do you know what I mean? He can run. So this is what I mean. This is why I just found it ridiculous that he did that. So he's going to have to change something. Otherwise, as Luke has described, it is going to be an absolute mauling on Sunday. But Vish, to answer to pose the question again.
Vish, welcome back.
Yeah. Far away.
So I suppose I'm getting like a month-long run-up of this because genuinely I was in the airport terminal waiting to fly to New Zealand when I saw Amorim's first press conference, and even in the build-up to him coming on board, there was all this talk about this particular formation, and I thought what was really interesting was when it initially started. To me, it felt like, right, you're just going to try and force these players into these positions. And I kind of get that because, ideally you would have had a pre-season. You don't, but you almost look at December and think, right, there are enough games. Certainly the start of that, November, end of November, start of December period, there were enough games that like people would get up to speed to a point. By the end of December, it's a formation, it's a system, full stop, that has exacerbated all the flaws within the squad. Don't persist with it then.
Yeah.
If it makes everyone worse, if it exacerbates all the problems that United have had in that there's no real pace, like from deep out wide, there are no legs in the middle. There's certainly no like focal point up top that you can, I suppose just hold on to the ball for long enough. You're going to have issues in that particular system, and the persistence with it is actually quite worrying.
Yes.
Because, and this was a point, a guy called Joe Smith on Manchester United podcast made this point about there's actually like a familiar cycle of Manchester United managers where it starts where like they just kind of like work with the players that they've got, and then in their second season, which tends to be their downfall, they're like, right, I'm going to try and implement my method on this, and they can't because you don't really get the right turnover of players and you're basically dealing with the backlog of someone else coming in, who's, you know, the guy who came in before you, who signed those players who don't quite fit your idea. But Amorim has started like that. Yeah. So basically any change now, and he said he won't change his idea. He said that right after the Newcastle game, that any change now is an admission of defeat. And it's almost like he would be too proud to do that, as he's already stated. So it is a bit worrying. The only thing though that helps is the fact that this is potentially such a mismatch on Sunday that he can't do the same. He just can't.
Surely he must start Mainey, for crying out loud. I know he's coming back from injury. But...
Well, exactly. Yeah. So the thing with Mainey was...
Fernandes will be back, right?
Yeah, because he's back from suspension. Ugarte as well, but
okay, there you go.
Yeah, but if you think with Maynard, there's another one. He wasn't fit to start. I mean, he was fit to play 60 minutes.
Indeed.
Because he had to. Yeah, and the thing is, by the way, it's not fair enough to point out the personnel stuff, but it's not just personnel, is it? It's a system and shape situation for two reasons. One is because they're outnumbered in midfield, and they will be outnumbered against Liverpool at Anfield.
Regardless of if they play their first string or not.
Because it will be probably McAllister and Gravenberch, and then maybe someone like Curtis Jones in front, and there'll be an extra body in there. And Curtis Jones is brilliant in terms of his mobility. But it's also the fact that even if that system that Man United play is good, and Amorim's amazing at implementing it, I mean, he's just not get any time to do so.
But it's not happening.
He said they've had since he's been there, they've had like 5 proper training sessions.
I mean, that's crazy
because of the fixture list.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, 3-4-3 is a perfectly good formation to play, and in fact, that can be a pragmatic formation. I think people sometimes then say, "Why people lose their minds if they've never seen 3-4-3?" No, that's not what we're saying. What you're saying is that whatever Amorim is doing at Manchester United currently, it's worse than what was going on with Ten Hag. Some of the manner of some of the defeats are embarrassing, and this game against Liverpool, yes, they've got some of these players coming back, and I don't imagine it would be as embarrassing as it was on Monday night against Newcastle, which was, I can't believe it was just 2-0.
Yeah, but Liverpool are better than Newcastle.
But Liverpool are better than Newcastle.
But they're away.
And I joke.
Away.
But you made this point on Reacts that like there is no way he put that 3 down in midfield specifically, because of like let's put Xerxes into that middle central 3. There's no way he looked at that 3 and then looked at Newcastle's 3 and thought, yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
It's kind of diluted. It almost speaks to the fact that he didn't even look at Newcastle's team sheet.
Is he the Portuguese Russell Martin? That's what I'm going to ask. But he said himself, I mean, I joked about this with Jim on Monday. Ruben Amorim asked about this, said it was, and I quote, really clear that Manchester United were being drawn into a relegation battle. That was the laughter of Luke Moore.
It's good, isn't it? It's good.
Similar to Tony Pulis post Istanbul. But I mean, we're joking about it. The way they are dropping like a stone.
But Marcus, he's playing it for a reason, isn't he? He's saying it to send a message. He's saying it to say to his players, get real.
Yeah.
Because actually, it's the old Graham Souness adage, isn't it? It doesn't matter what you do in terms of a formation or personnel and the players and stuff. If at the sharp end of the Premier League, you don't really fight hard and battle and all the rest of it. And I don't think he likes what he's seeing. I find it. They're not going to get relegated. It's absolutely clear. They're not going to be relegated. I doubt they're even going to be in a relegation battle, just because they'll have too much, and it's not really the points anyway.
But it's unthinkable.
It's the teams below.
It'd be nice though, wouldn't it?
It would
not having to talk about them week in, week out.
Even he's saying that.
But here's the thing. It seems baffling to me, and maybe Vish is saying in this I don't know about, and I'm sure there is, as to why Amorim would have taken the job at this point. Why couldn't he just say, my stock's really high, I'm happy to sign on, but I'm not going to come till the summer?
Well, I think that's apparently what he wanted.
And have 5 or 6 months of doing his thing. And if Man United have said, well, no, it's now or never.
That's literally supposedly what Ratcliffe said. Yeah,
but it just seems like seems like fair enough. He wants the money. Fair enough. It's a big job. Fair enough. He thinks he can't turn it down. I get all that. I'm sympathetic to that. But I did say before he took the job, I don't think anyone can do a good job at this Man United. I did say that very clearly because I don't think that anything's in place to make it a kind of an environment where anyone can prosper, or if it's a player or a manager. And you only really got to look at all the different things going on around the club all the time to show that they're not in control at all. And they're fiddling. And what Jim Ratcliffe is doing, by the way, is fiddling while Rome burns over and over again. He's got no concept of how to manage or to control something of that in football of that size. Andy will know better than me, but at the other clubs he's owned, it's not like it's been plain sailing either.
No.
So there's nothing to suggest that that Man United would be any easier. Of course, it was always going to be much harder because they're such a big club. And I think people were so set on having anyone that wasn't the Glazers. They just didn't think that much about what it would be like.
Yeah, and I think with Amorim, had he have stayed at Sporting, his star wouldn't have waned. Do you know what I mean? His stock wouldn't have dipped at all.
But then if someone else comes in at United and gets the job and does okay, you think, well, the opportunity's gone.
I understand, and he probably thinks, I could be the man to sort that out. I mean,
well, at the same time, do you not think it could be a situation where he looks at the Manchester United job and thinks, look, if I don't make it work, I'm like every other manager who tried to go in there and fix it.
He's not going to suffer.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to suffer. I just think that for him it would have been...
It's a waste of time.
Yeah, and also...
he might suffer slightly, though, if it goes really, really badly.
He's not going to struggle.
No, I don't think so.
But the thing is, he's going to be thinking, wow, that's an amazing opportunity. It's almost a bit like when, someone quite shit gets to go and play for Barcelona because they're down there. It's like, okay, you're playing for Barcelona, but they're in such a terrible state. It's not really going to be what you imagined. It's like this, isn't it? There's certain clubs in the world that that it's difficult for people to say no to in any circumstances, and I guess this is just one of them. But going back to the game itself, there's sometimes a situation going into these types of games where you think it's going to be a bloodbath and it actually isn't, and there's a response from the team who aren't fancied and they can make it difficult. United seem to do that quite a lot against Liverpool in the past, haven't they?
Yeah.
And so it could be a bit of that. But I do think that United, the amount of actually good players Man United have got is probably the lowest number I've ever seen it. And it's not even that close, really.
Yeah, I think the one thing that would be quite important for Sunday for Liverpool to get right is not to try and force things too much.
Yeah.
If you consider how United are probably going to shape up, Trent Alexander-Arnold is going to see a lot of the ball. Yeah. He doesn't need to do anything particularly outlandish with it. If you consider as well that someone like Dalot will be playing out left up against Salah and will get that support from one of his three. If they do persist with three at the back, then it will basically be geared towards stopping Liverpool's forwards. So a lot more people are going to have a ball further back, take their time, pick United apart, and basically kind of do what they did. Kind of do what they did for the 7-0. You don't necessarily have to get all your goals in the first half. You can make sure you get one to try and drag United out, and then Manchester United out, and then I think they can put on whatever score they want on Manchester United, provided they play those first half an hour. Yeah, first half an hour smartly.
If they're too excited and the crowd are thinking we could give them another good hammer on here, you're right.
Don't overcommit and you'll be fine. Yeah.
Diego Dalot, the bare-chested Diego Dalot, we should say. Did you see he gave an interview this week while having his chest hair lasered?
So the thing I
kind of admire the professionalism of it.
But it's not. He's only doing it to get a cut price, laser hair removal. It's like, how much money are you on? You can afford to pay for this thing and do it anonymously.
Yeah, they don't do that stuff. They all get when you get the more money, the more famous you get, the more money you make, the more free things you get, right?
I know, but you could be like, oh, let me pay a little bit of it, and you won't interview me while I'm getting it lasered off.
It's worked though, because the Independent are reporting today that Real Madrid want him.
Yeah, I think he.
He's hairless, you say?
Yeah, I'll take him.
I think he's just saying that whatever I'm doing, I'm always open for an interview. Yeah, I think it's
exactly. I can multitatask.
You know, it used to be that players go on international break and they're a lot more, a lot more loose tongued.
Yeah,
is that the case now? Get them under a laser.
Yeah, that was always an amazing phenomenon. Like players would be like, well, if I give this interview in France to a French paper, no one will ever hear about it.
No, the English people don't read
15
French.
years after the internet, that's still happening. It's still happening. Yeah. It's like they don't care.
By the way, talking of Real Madrid, they are reportedly planning an official bid to sign Trent Alexander-Arnold this month after they approach Liverpool on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, it's terrible.
New Year's Eve. Are you busy?
It's terrible, this, because I've had quite a brutal Christmas because my son's been ill and I've been ill, and it's, like I say, winter flu season. And then what I really didn't need towards the end of it was just endless commentary from Michael fucking Owen about a Liverpool player going to Real Madrid. I mean, he couldn't believe his luck. Yeah.
They're considering offering $20 million to sign him now instead of waiting until he's out of contract in the summer. I think that's quite smart from Real Madrid.
That's also a threat, isn't it?
It is.
This is what it is, and you don't have to take it now. We'll take him for free in the summer if you want.
Because there is chat that Trent is interested.
I think he definitely wants to go, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, that's about the sounds
brought
of it.
to you from the guy who said Harry Kane would never go to Bayern Munich and Thomas Tuchel would never take the England job. So Liverpool fans have got good news for you. I think he's going to go.
I thought that Friday feeling in me couldn't grow, but when you reminded me of those things, my goodness, it's gone to erected sizes, quite frankly.
Jamie Carragher was saying that he thinks that Trent Alexander-Arnold and his team asked Real Madrid to do it. That's what he was saying.
Well, I mean, because that's generally the way it works. Yeah, like a lot of people, we don't need to hear that they're planning to do something.
It would be quite funny though if he said to them, lads, if you put in a 20 million bid, right, they'll never take it. They'll never take it, but that'll just get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And they do it. Right, we'll take it. Oh, but Trent, we don't have that. Oh no, it's gonna have to come out your
Come
wages.
on, Barcelona. Come on.
Yeah, can you get a loan from Barcelona?
Oh, speaking of Barcelona,
But they're too frivolous with their money. They would never be so
speaking
stupid.
of Barcelona,
Go on.
you know this Dani Olmo thing?
Oh
Yeah.
So they registered Dani Olmo as a temporary measure because Andres Christensen was injured, which meant they could have Dani Olmo for the first half of the season. But the league in Spain have said they now can't have Dani Olmo for the rest of the season unless they pay all this money, which they haven't got. And so there's talk that Dani Olmo's agent was in Manchester because Dani Olmo effectively become a free agent, which is, I mean, it's just a ridiculous situation as ever with Barcelona. And people are saying, is he going to go Man United or Man City? Like, if I was Dani Olmo, I'd be saying to my agent, why'd you go to Manchester for? Go to London. Go to Manchester, not now. It's not the 90s. And anyway, but Barcelona obviously heard about this. Barcelona obviously heard that the agent's on manoeuvres and Dani Olmo's going to lose him. So they started briefing the press this morning, and you're like this, talking about, quote, a new economic lever. They said, we've got a new economic lever, which is reportedly attempting now to pre-sell new VIP boxes in advance of the new Nou Camp to raise the money to get Olmo. They reckon they could raise like 80 million doing that, use that money to get Olmo and have him for the rest of the season.
Are they unveiling a new president? President Truss of Barcelona. What is this? I remember.
I just loved hearing the new economic lever.
New economic lever is good. I can remember when it was actually in chat about the fit and proper persons test.
Yeah.
And I remember Luke saying, just have one question on there. Do you have the money you say you have? And it's as simple as that. And Barcelona.
Why do they make it? But they always make it sound like their accountants have, finessed it in some way.
Oh, really?
When it's like it's basically just like, right, if we sell something we don't have, we can buy something we already have.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Is that illegal? Call it a lever. Call it a lever.
It's a lever. It's almost it's robbing Peter to pay for Paul, because the idea being, if they were able to do that, when the new camp opens, all this new revenue you'll get from the new stadium, well, you've already spent it. So it's actually not going to give you any.
But then they'll sell something else.
Exactly. It's insane. And the fit and
when we take over the moon, we'll start selling the properties now.
People make out that this economic stuff and this fit and proper person stuff is actually really difficult. It's not difficult.
No.
It's basically, like you say, do you have the money? And probably these days, where's the money from?
Yes.
And if
have you killed anyone?
Yeah, if you have a robust set of bullet points, just has to be bullet points of the things you're not happy with. Just say no. Yeah. Just say no.
If don't know wasn't there,
exactly.
What would you put?
Danny Olmo's probably thinking, right, so you're doing that, okay, and so that gets me another 6 months at Barcelona, but you don't really know if you can pay me. Yeah. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous.
It's Danny Olmo we're talking about.
Yeah,
it's not some sort of. I mean, you shouldn't be treating anybody like that. No. He's a fine player.
Danny, I tell you what. Have a box in the new stadium, mate. For your troubles.
Yeah. Well, it won't be built in years, so your grandkids can.
You might not even be here, actually. But you can have one.
Yeah. Bloody hell. Bloody Nora. Well, there we are. Before we go for a break, the sad news, Wayne Rooney's left Plymouth Argyle by mutually agreeing to terminate his contract just after 7 months in charge. It was on New Year's Eve as well.
Still time to make the last train down to London, though.
Yeah, maybe.
Up to London in this case.
Well, I mean, it was mutual agreement. It's not been doing well. Plymouth have scored the joint fewest goals in the Championship, conceded the most in the top four divisions of English football. They're bottom of the table. It's not going it's you can read that yourselves. So shame for old Wazza. And you do now wonder with his CV, Derby, was sort of respected. It was a bit of a mixed bag, but ultimately I think the Derby fans and whatnot admired the job he did in very difficult circumstances. DC United wasn't great. Birmingham City got sacked after just 83 days, and now Plymouth. I know they're not huge appointments, and he's still quite young and so on, but
It's an
I
interesting.
worry for Wazza as a number one.
It's an interesting situation. Well, first of all, you got to feel for Mike more than a feeling.
Yeah.
Who's probably standing at Plymouth train station with a duffel bag over his shoulder, waiting for the train to take him back somewhere because he's only been there a few weeks.
23 days to be precise as assistant manager.
Mike, last roll of the dice feeling, as he'll be known after this. But I think it's a difficult situation for Wazza, isn't it? Because the Birmingham City thing was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you can necessarily blame him for taking that.
No.
But I think the circumstances were just crazy.
Derby was very difficult.
Derby was, again, quite a rarefied thing. I don't know enough about DC United, to be honest. I know he didn't do very well there. And then Plymouth, I mean...
Plymouth's a very difficult job.
Plymouth have been poor.
Yeah.
They skin of their teeth stuff last season.
Yes.
Skint as well.
Yeah, no money.
Burnt through managers like nobody's business.
Yeah.
And I guess the situation, I know that we're going to talk a bit more about managerial pathways on the mailbag tomorrow, so we'll keep our powder dry on Wayne maybe for a bit. But just very briefly, I find it very difficult to think of any situation at all that someone like Wayne Rooney can go in as a manager at and actually be normal and have a chance of giving himself basically the best chance of succeeding, because he's not going to get a massive job. It's not going to happen. And every other job, because of the busted flush model that the Football League is it's a firefighting job.
Yeah.
By definition. No, you know, and you could argue probably that Birmingham City were doing quite well. And then they bought Rooney and he torpedoed it, which he did. So maybe that's an exception to that rule. I don't know, but it's not ideal. And I mean, luckily for him, one of those 4 wins were against my team, Portsmouth. So he's got that to keep him warm at night. Obviously,
I love the fact that everybody came out quickly to say, but he didn't lose the dressing room. Everyone really loved him, and I was like, of course they did. Well, as Luke said. He in recent years he's become the best bloke in Britain.
I always want to defend him. Yeah. There's 2 things going against him in this situation. Right. One is he was on the overlap a lot, wasn't he? And that's not filmed.
No, but you can't say he wasn't in Plymouth.
That's not filmed in Plymouth.
No, but
I made this point at the start of this tenure that he's got to choose whether he wants to be a pundit,
and I think that's
or a
right.
manager, and he didn't really.
Yeah, but I think no, but he was present in Plymouth. I don't think anybody would argue that. Too much, perhaps.
Yeah, they saw him every now and again on a night out. Yeah,
I was going to say Well, anyway, look.
Also, they've had to cancel the Rooney funded documentary about him at Plymouth as well. They had to cancel that.
That is a shame.
By the same documentary team that brought you Rooney.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll see him more on the TV now. We do enjoy.
I love him. Good on him.
No, absolutely.
I wish him nothing but the best. I'm sorry for Plymouth and they've not and their travails.
Yeah.
But there it is.
But as Luke said, we will be talking more about Wayne Rooney and managerial pathways on tomorrow's mailbag. So do get on that. Coming up after this, Spurs get ready for Newcastle, and José Mourinho wants to get into international management.
Bring Calvin Phillips in. He's made, 2 mistakes now at a sending off. All this Yorkshire Perlo bollocks. He's a Yorkshire pudding, mate.
Welcome back to Football Ramble, everybody. Spurs versus Newcastle United, Saturday, 12:30. It gets the day underway in the Premier League. How about this for a statistic? This is the most played Premier League fixture to never finish 0-0. 59 meetings. Astonishing stuff.
It's great that the team who find it absolutely impossible to control any game whatsoever are about to embark upon the least controllable game in Premier League history.
Is there a chance this could be 0-0, Vish?
No.
Absolutely not.
But genuinely not, yeah. Newcastle are going to score.
Yeah.
And Kulusevski might score. Mm-hmm. So that's or Brennan Johnson gets a consolation. But this is, you could loosely build this as perceived style versus actual substance.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really interesting I suppose just set of values held by the managers and stuff like that, because I think the way that every Postecoglou game gets analysed, I was kind of against it to a point, because I felt it was just there's a new play thing in the Premier League, and I think people are just abusing it to a point. But I suppose we are in a situation now where it's at some point you kind of you're just doing this for your own reputation rather than the betterment of the club, and it's hard to pick between the two because it's Tottenham, because they've had previous managers who've been hell-bent on doing things their own way, in quite an ugly way, it should be said, and not just in terms of the football on the field. And so, I really resonate with Postecoglou and what he's trying to do, and I kind of love him for it.
Because he likes cricket.
Well, he does, yeah. But at the same time, I'm a bit like, but I don't support Spurs, so it's not my problem.
Yeah.
The lack of pragmatism. We talked a bit about it with Amorim in before the break, didn't we? That Postecoglou shows. I just feel like there's a very, very short list of managers who can get away with not being at least a bit pragmatic sometimes.
I mean, even Guardiola's a bit pragmatic at times.
Yeah. I think he's more pragmatic than people give him credit for.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, he built a team with 4 centre-backs at the back. Yeah.
And if Tony Pulis does that, he's labelled a prat.
There you go.
But the ideological aspect of the way Postecoglou does stuff, it's just that, I think Spurs fans are within their rights to say, okay, but we've got like 4 of our first 5, our back 5 out, and there's loads of games at the moment, and we can see every week that we are not in control of any game and we can't keep clean sheets. And can we just tweak it slightly, maybe? Mm-hmm. And then for Postecoglou to say, okay, I live and die by my results. So if I get up into the top 4 and deliver what I deliver, or I deliver you a trophy, don't worry about it. Is kind of one thing, but he's also just saying, this is who I am. Mm-hmm. You knew what you were getting into when you got me. This is what you're always going to get. And I said this over and over again, and Marcus, you've said it as well, I think. It's going to cost him. Yeah. I think it's going to cost him, because I just don't see how there's any way that you shake it off.
Well, by his own admission.
Because he's not got the players good enough, or he's not able to manage them well enough to win and win and win and win.
Do you think there are...
Which is what he needs to do.
But I mean this sincerely.
I don't take any pleasure. I like the man, and I like the way he plays football. I just wish that there was a little bit more pragmatism in there, because they would be more solid, and they would be a better side, and we wouldn't be saying this.
Yeah,
they've lost more games this season than Crystal Palace and Everton. Just to sort of cherry pick a couple.
What are you going to say?
2 points above Man United.
Yeah, but so 2 things. I think if continuing this way brings about, his downfall, his sacking, I think he's totally fine with that. I think actually, gone to any Premier League manager said, you'd probably rather be sacked for sticking to your convictions than
floundering around.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. At the same time, I do think when I watch Spurs sometimes, as enjoyable as it is, are there genuinely players on the planet capable of doing what he wants his teams to do?
Maybe
like just on lung capacity alone.
But if they could turn it round, and in a few months or whatever, he turns around and goes, "There, you see, I told you." It'd be brilliant. It genuinely be brilliant.
But I don't think it's going to happen. It's exhausting, though, isn't it? Like the Spurs now, the back of their at the back end of December. There's no surprise they fall away about the hour mark. It's knackering doing that. You look at a doggy now, yeah. He's out for potentially 5 weeks now, I think, when I last saw. That's a hell of a loss.
Vish, I guess the short answer to your question would just be, well, it works at Celtic. And that's such a...
I'm not counting that.
But that's the point. Right?
Yeah.
That's the point. And I think it works at Celtic because the imbalance is crazy. Like, if you're going to apply those principles directly to the Premier League, I think you're spot on.
Also, as well at Celtic, when you're managing Celtic, you probably do feel like you're managing the biggest club in the world. In that atmosphere and so on, it's huge. So you think, right, well, I've seen what it can do. European football, blah 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 blah. Let's take it to Spurs. They're up against Newcastle, who themselves are in a real purple patch at the moment. I mean, if you're talking about managers, and it can change, of course. Like I say, in a couple of months' time, maybe we will feel differently about Postecoglou. I don't think we will. There's always a chance, though. But look at Eddie Howe. Said on Monday after the match, it wasn't that long ago where I was thinking, you know what? If Newcastle don't start to turn things round, there will be pressure on Howe. That when they got hammered at Brentford, for example, it was like, this is pretty bad actually. But since then, they've won all 5 of their games. They're up to 5th, and now I'm thinking, well, they'll be on for Champions League next season.
Is that not like a new level of impressive from Howe? The fact that
potentially,
there was genuine talk at the start of the season about probably could do with shaping up results because they could, the owners, they could get anyone in.
Yes,
like Mourinho was kind of like behind the scenes pushing himself to be mentioned for that job. Loads of people would want it because of the security and the financial reward for not just doing it full stop but doing it well. And the idea that he's been able to essentially get the squad around and, by all accounts, from reports, have a stern word with them and then get them to step up for him, really, and kind of themselves.
And
but
Tyndall, give Tyndall a mention.
And Tyndall, for Tinders,
for Tinder.
They're right swiping for Tinders,
yeah, big time.
And but it's it's like the results speak for themselves. Like, I know Manchester United were terrible, to the point that I think whenever you mention United, you now need to specify which United you're talking about, because not everyone will assume you're talking about Manchester United. But they were just clinical and probably a bit juvenile, because they should have cleaned the game up in the first half.
Trippier taking pot shots from corners. Come on.
But basically, Howe's got them to be. They're kind of like, when they qualified for the Champions League, that ruthlessness seems to have come back.
They've got the spirit. Totally agree. They've got the spirit back, and they've got everyone pulling the same direction.
They've got their game back.
They do. They really do.
They're doing what you really want a team to do around this time of the season. They've hit their straps.
Yeah.
They seem to be purring away. I've been super impressed by their intensity. They've not conceded a goal in the last 4 league games. I was actually Brentford was a tough result for them. Brentford's a really tough place to go, though. And they even went toe-to-toe with Liverpool. And got to come out of that with a draw, and I was impressed by them then going forward. They're really confident. Isak is one of the form strikers in the Premier League at the moment. He looks brilliant.
Magnificent.
He can kind of do a bit of everything, which is maybe escaped people's notice until he started to score goals consistently like he has been now, because he can drop deep, he can go past a player, he can occupy good positions, he's a good finisher as well, good in the air.
Yeah.
So I think...
is there a little bit of Henry there?
That's early, isn't it? It's early to say that.
No, just a little bit.
I know what you mean, though.
Because he's someone he can pull out wide without necessarily being out wide. He's able to take up 2 positions without stopping someone else from being in their position.
Yeah.
He doesn't affect Anthony Gordon when he goes out left. He doesn't ruin any of the space for, like, whether it's Guimaraes or Joe Linton to bust in through when he's through the middle. He's a bit like a ghost, but he's always there.
Well, if you looked at his heat map against Man United, he was kind of everywhere.
Yeah,
and
but he's never. But that's the thing. Like, he's never in the way.
He still scores. But
yeah.
like, if you say, like, I mean, it's probably a bit unfair because Jesus has actually started scoring. But if you were to come off the back of an Arsenal game and say, "Oh, Jesus was everywhere," he probably wouldn't score because he just struggles with that part of his game. Not recently, admittedly, but generally. And Isak doesn't seem to let the goals suffer when he drifts and when he makes himself unpredictable, which is an amazing thing to be able to do. And I think that you never know in the Premier League, and that's why it's a really interesting league to watch. But it feels to me like big Liverpool wins and hallmark Newcastle wins are the order of the day this weekend.
Yeah, and I think with Newcastle as well, they've got goals all over the place. Gordon is playing really well, but that midfield 3, they've got the balance. People were talking about Tonali and Guimaraes playing there with Joe Linton. Well, my goodness, can they? I mean, Tonali seems to be a little bit deeper, which allows Guimaraes to do his thing. And Joe Linton, we know he's got a big old thing to do. He's putting them away, and that midfield 3. That is tough to go against. I know we've just focused on earlier in the pod about Manchester United, but they're a match for anybody, and Spurs have got to be careful that they don't get completely overrun as well in there.
It's a good start to the weekend's games for sure.
Indeed. It'll be gutting if it's 0-0. But it just won't be 0-0. It surely can't be 0-0. No. You mentioned, or somebody mentioned, José Mourinho. He's been back in the headlines.
It was actually
somebody mentioned José Mourinho.
Yeah.
Wait, you pulled the José Mourinho lever, Vish.
It was you, and then it was Vish.
Yeah, okay.
I'm the only one with no blood in my hands at the moment. We'll see how that goes.
We're all in this mucky mess together.
Here we are.
Well, he's been back in the headlines this week after he revealed his true feelings about international management. In an interview in Italy, he said, "I want to play in a European Championship or a World Cup and unite a country around a team, as I've done many times with clubs."
When has he done that?
For a bit, and then I've turned everyone.
I want to unite the universe like I did with my Death Star.
Does the country descend into civil war when he leaves?
I'd really love. This is what he said. I'd really love to turn an entire nation into like a kind of Lord of the Flies scenario.
Yeah, right.
To see who the last man standing.
And then I get the hell out of there. I want to do it for football and for what this sport represents. It's going to be incredible. I tell you what.
He wants the Cambridge Analytica and Asheville team, doesn't he?
Who would you bestow him on?
I'm telling you now, Thomas Tuchel's on
Scotland.
Thomas Tuchel's 2 days into the job. I'm getting a bit fed up with him, to be honest.
Do you think so?
Yeah, he's run his course, I think. He's taking the team as far as he can.
Do you think the Scots would have him?
Come on!
Think of the tunes he'd be playing as Scotland manager. It would be like
he'd wear a kilt properly. First one.
Oh yeah.
First press conference.
It would be William Wallace stuff.
Yeah.
He'd talk about all the things he learned in England.
I think I am McSpecial One. Wouldn't it? That's what he'd say.
I never liked in England.
Yeah.
Terrible country.
Yeah,
It would be classic, absolute classic.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, as you said, Luke, Thomas Tuchel's reign as England manager officially began on Wednesday this week.
Yeah, I'm fed up with him.
Well, according to The Athletic, he's yet to receive a work laptop and his own official email address.
Good. You know who's good with the laptops? Jose.
There you are, you see.
That's why I'm fed up with him. I haven't heard from him yet.
Oh, right, okay.
And now I know why, so it's fair enough. You're back in, Thomas.
We're going to hear a lot more from him in the coming months, though.
We are, and you'll be sure of that, Marcus, I'm sure.
Oh, all right, coming up after this, we've got Jack's Encyclopaedia and Ivan Juric getting aggressive. Gentlemen, Southampton host Brentford on Saturday at 3 p.m. Brentford, of course, not been great away from home in the league this season. A chance for Southampton to pick up their first win under their new manager. Juric said over Christmas that he's a big death metal fan and wants his team to play death metal football, which is terrifying. Although he did say, I'm a little bit softer now. So I don't know. But he also said, I'm not a golf man. It's not a game for me. I'm a little more aggressive. So he's going from the sort of, I'm a bit of a tough guy, but I'm also a lover and I am a fighter. What do you think of this, Vish? Death metal football, is that what they need to stay up in the Premier League this season?
Yeah, I suppose. Like it was a bit,
Might as well.
So yeah, the stuff under Russell Martin was a bit lift music, was it? A little bit beach house, like gorgeous to listen to, but you wouldn't go to a gig, would you?
And it went on, and every song was like 12 minutes long. It went on for ages. No tempo change at all.
Yeah, also he doesn't like golf, so he's a normal person. Be good to spend time with. I mean, like, do you feel like this is, they need, I suppose, someone on the other side of the spectrum to Russell Martin? Do you think he walked in and they're like, this guy seems like a lunatic? Get in.
He said back in 2010, I started at 14 years old with Metallica and Megadeth. Then I moved on to more aggressive things. Death metal is my passion. Bands like Napalm Death, Obituary and Carcass. So, I mean,
That's some good,
that was 15 years ago now.
That's some good name drop. I mean, Carcass are an offshoot of Napalm Death. Basically, similar kind of bands, really.
I can already see his Jansport bag with Tipex around the badges. Yeah.
Obituary are one of the, I think, the founders of like that type of music.
Right, okay.
American. Napalm Death and Carcass from the Midlands.
So that
really?
That generally happens when you're that age. You get the band and then you work backwards, don't you?
Yeah.
You get, I think so. You try to learn what was influenced by what, and I think some people, I think a lot of metal fans. I don't want to kind of tie them all with the same brush because it's a very broad church, but I think a lot of metal fans start off with stuff that they like and then they want to get heavier and heavier. I never really did that. I go up to and including Metallica probably. I wouldn't go any harder.
I go up to Slippery When Wet.
No further. Yeah. That's where you take your backpack off.
Absolutely.
Pass it on to your colleague and say you're on your own now.
I'm stood here. I'm soaking wet. I love it
because I've got classic rock hits to listen to on my DAB.
Look, I mean,
how good were Boston, by the way?
Now you're talking.
Now you are talking, sir. Look, we remember Klopp said heavy metal football.
That's right.
He's going death metal football. Does that bode well?
I don't know. I've not actually seen Southampton play since Juric took over, so I don't know how different it's been.
He was pleased with the draw at Fulham, as you would imagine.
That was his first game, wasn't it?
Pissed me right off.
Yeah, I bet it did, and that was at Craven Cottage as well.
Yeah.
But was that a type of game where Fulham just couldn't score though?
Evidently, because it was 0-0.
No, but I mean,
I think
were Fulham the better team? Is what
it wasn't that much. I mean, they had a chance, but I mean, without focusing too much on Fulham, I think it was probably a case of Fulham have been away to Anfield. They've had Arsenal there. They've go into the bridge. All this. Southampton. Okay, we should be able to just got to go through this. But you saw Southampton give a little something, and I think that. Unlike with Manchester United, the managerial change seems to maybe have had some sort of galvanising effect. Clearly, it wasn't happening under Martin. That was plain to see. And I feel for Martin, and I hope he does come back because those kind of principles and that kind of playing style, we don't see too many British managers doing that.
But the reality is,
it was not working. They were going to be relegated in horrendous fashion.
Well, and I think they probably still will be. The reality, I think, is rather than hand picking a guy that they want to take the job to move them forward, I think in reality it's quite different. The situation in practice will be who can we get that will actually do this job?
There is
because the two options are we give them a short-term contract because even when we get relegated, we don't want to be on the hook for their money, which rules out a load of managers instantly, or they want to they're happy to manage in the Championship. And the Championship's a great league, but I'm just saying you're not really going to. It's not really a sell, is it, for a good manager?
No.
So you need someone who's available. You need someone who's going to take a chance. You need someone who backs himself and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is the season's already gone. The season's done for them. So what can he do? He can save a bit of face. He can show a bit more, and he will have either his stock increased after he got bombed at Roma, or he will manage in the Championship and back himself to do well there. That's how it is.
Yeah, and trying to find the new manager was tricky. And I think, as you say, look, who would do it? And here's a guy who's managed a bit in Italy, but it's other than Torino, it never really.
I feel sorry for Simon Rusk.
Do you?
He was in situ.
Yeah.
Could have saved your money and given it to Simon Rusk and see how he got on.
Yeah. Well, they haven't done that, but they've given it to Juric. And as I say, in Italy, it never really stuck in anywhere. He was there at Torino for a little bit, and he's and to manage in the Championship, which is we assume where he's going to be managing next season. I think he clearly is all right with that. You would imagine.
If you're 10 points adrift in January, and you've won one game all season, you can't stay up. Yeah. It's simple as that.
But he's still reasonably young. He's only 49, so he's not. I'm not saying he's a spring chicken, but he's not ancient. No. So I think he's still got he's still growing his CV to sound like a manager, to sound like management.
People don't say growing the CV.
Do they not? What are they developing? I don't know.
Filling it in. You don't grow a CV, do you?
No.
I haven't had one for years.
You embellish it.
Yes, in which case, just say you kept him up.
Yeah. Look, and as I say, those 3 Serie A titles he won at Torino was very impressive. Why on earth did he take this job?
Do a big Sam and leave before the last day of the season. Never been relegated. Next.
I don't know. Well,
never been relegated. Where's my cab?
There you are. Brentford, of course, lost 3-1 to Arsenal on New Year's Day, so they need to pick it up as well. But they are having a decent season, old Brentford in 12th.
Well, you say that, and they are, and they're really good at home.
Yeah.
But there's opportunities here.
There are.
There's opportunities in the Premier League this season. And are they making the most of those opportunities? No, they're not, because they're languishing down in 12th, and there's no reason they can't be a Bournemouth or a Fulham and really enjoy themselves in 8th.
Oh, they'll love that, Fulham.
You got to make hay with these players, yeah? How long are they going to have them? Obviously,
could they be a Fulham? They have to be a lot richer, obviously, but could they be a Fulham?
In the same area. They could gentrify Brentford using Fulham's influence.
That is well underway, by the way.
Can I say something
definitely,
now? Which is going to be controversial. Marcus won't like it. But I'd much rather spend the afternoon in Brentford than Fulham.
No, you wouldn't.
I would.
Why?
I worked there for ages and I like it there.
I mean, it's all right. I mean, I grew up there.
I was going to say, I'll defer to Vish on this.
Yeah. What's wrong with Brentford?
Also,
what's wrong with the Beehive pub?
No, there's nothing wrong with
it.
No, there's nothing wrong with Brentford. It's just that there's more in Fulham. It's unquestionably more in Fulham.
No. But Fulham is a bit shit. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. Sorry about the bollocks, but here comes more of it.
Dean Smith also says you're an encyclopaedia.
Oh, this is massive.
An encyclopaedia of football.
It's massive. It's not made of plastic.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. It's Jack's Encyclopaedia time. Last week, Luke beat Andy. And, of course, Luke holds the much-coveted Intercontinental belt.
Yeah, I've been in good form, actually, last few weeks.
You've been in wonderful form. But Vish, and we all forgot about this, Vish is still the lineal champion.
Yeah, you all forgot about it.
Crucially,
how many
Vish
messages?
forgot about it.
And Vish obviously held the belt and then ran off to New Zealand. And
that was poor, because I'll tell you what, Vish is very active on his Instagram the whole time he was away.
Yeah.
I'll be trying to tempt him out on the old WhatsApp chat. You get the occasional thumbs up on the message. That's all you get. He would come and fight
time
you.
difference.
I'm impressed you got a thumbs up. But we should say that official Ramble archivist Jimmy to the B revealed
What's this bellend say? Happy New Year, Jimmy.
Oh dear. He said on the Discord that Vish hasn't successfully defended the World Lineal Championship belt since the 1st of December 2023.
Pathetic! Not 2024, 2023.
Well, so what he's saying is, when I've won it,
You shit yourself.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I've lost it straight away.
Yeah.
Which is why you defended it.
Which is why you went off to New Zealand, presumably.
Yeah.
Andrew replied #NotMyChampion, which has been trending.
Andrew.
Which has been trending ever since.
Of course it has. Absolutely.
No, I won the popular vote. Deal with it.
Yeah.
No, you didn't win the popular vote. You got voted
I've got the Rascateer on my side.
Incidentally, Andy Brassel hasn't been champion since September 15th.
Pick on him.
2023.
That's poor, isn't it?
Which is really piss poor.
But the thing with Andy is he doesn't try. He doesn't try.
Oh, he does.
I don't think he gets into the mindset.
Don't worry about it. Just enjoy it. Okay.
I do enjoy it.
He's the Manchester United of Jack's Encyclopaedia. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Think about what he used to do on Luke's game.
Yeah.
Right. Now, so this is a unification battle.
The first ever one.
The first ever one. Whoever wins gets both belts.
You probably wish you were a part of this, don't you?
Luke, I'm just happy to be here.
Okay, yeah.
Just to be involved. I'm like
You should have heard him outside.
I'm like old. What's his name? The Buff, Michael.
Michael Buffer.
Michael Buffer.
Yeah.
You know
The
what
Buff.
I mean? Yeah, the big Buff.
You know when like they talk about like, oh, why don't more pro footballers become referees?
Yeah.
And like, ultimately it's because they don't need it.
Yeah, exactly.
But here he is.
Here I am.
Yeah, exactly.
Here he
Yeah.
is.
Michael Buffer.
Oh, can I be host?
Michael Buffer was always the best bit of it.
He was.
The most impressive thing, more than so than the punches. But anyway, I've had my say, and let's get on with it with these two fine gentlemen.
Vish is world champion. I'm
Lineal champion, you're intercontinental.
But does that mean I get to go first because I'm the lower champion?
No, Vish gets to go
For
first.
fuck's sake.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because
it's
you
about
just-
Man United, probably.
No, because you disrespected me.
Okay, I bet there's a Man United question in there.
You
That's
did
all I'll say.
disrespect him.
Go
on, Marcus.
That's what the show is.
Right. So we go with categories, as you know, and if you mess around, then Gary Neville will spunk. Right. The first category. It was going to be a Man United one, but we removed it.
Are you being serious?
No, it's not a
Why'd
Man
you
United
remove
one. The first category is when Vish did his GCSEs.
Latin C.
Latin, eh?
Private school, isn't it?
Private school. The first category is the top 20 defenders with the most clean sheets in Premier League history, as per the official Premier League website. Now, we always think about goalkeepers in clean sheets, of course, but you get the drift. The top 20 defenders with the most clean sheets in Premier League history. Okay? This is a tough one, but there are answers to be had, of course. Vish, I'd like you to go first.
John Terry.
Gotta be.
Of course he is. Of course he is.
Ashley Cole.
Oh, I like that. And it's right.
Tony Adams.
Gotta be.
Of course he is. Big Tone, easy peasy.
Jamie Carragher.
Ooh.
Like it. We're up and running.
Rio Ferdinand.
Of course he is.
Good one. Oh, Jesus. Good. This is tough. Sammy Hippier.
Slightly rogue shout, but it's a good one. Like that, Luke Moore. Like that.
Gary Neville.
Of course he is. This is good. It's a good start to a big belt battle.
Nigel Winterburn.
Lovely old job, sir.
So Lee Dixon.
Yeah, you bastard. You bastard.
And we'd unlock one.
Martin Keown.
Martin Keown. It's an incorrect answer. First blood to Vish.
I also had Nemanja Vidic. Was he in there?
He was not in there.
Okay.
Aaron Hughes is in there, pleasingly.
What?
Well, it's because it's just
Longevity.
Yeah,
right?
I was just thinking of
Exactly.
players who played the
So
longest.
it's 20, yeah.
Yeah.
Cesar Azpilicueta, Dennis Irwin,
Nice.
Sir Gareth Southgate, Gail Clichy, Glenn Johnson, John O'Shea, Carl Walker.
Aspilicueta?
Yeah,
He's already
in
said
there.
that.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Sol Campbell, I thought one might go in
sure.
there for. Sylvan Distan. And
Yeah,
William,
played for ages.
William Garris. Martin Keown is 24th.
Oh, you bastard.
Yeah, so that is...
He always fucking lets you down, Mike. In any way.
So that's presumably because it was Bold and then Keown?
Bold wasn't in there.
No,
but
but,
they
like,
shared
but
it.
they
They
had
shared
that
it.
like so because we had Dixon,
Yeah.
Winterburn, Adams,
Yeah, who were solid. Always
Yeah.
playing. Yeah.
Yeah, there you are.
and then Campbell. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
There you are, you see. There you are. All right. Round two. Now, I will say
Up
to you,
against it here.
this is a tough one. There are answers to be had. All right. This is good. All right. Every male player to play for both Real Madrid and Liverpool since 1992. There's only 10 answers.
Right.
Come on then. Luke Moore,
Okay. Michael Owen.
the aforementioned.
Steve McManaman.
The obvious two are out the way.
Fernando Morientes.
Well played, sir.
Xabi Alonso.
Good one.
Very well played.
And there ends the obvious ones.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for Alvaro Arbeloa.
Very well played.
Surely you haven't got another one here.
Fabinho.
Oh, fuck off.
Well played.
How many are there?
4 left.
Oh, you can't have another one.
There's a couple of guessable ones. I mean, they all are, but...
Nuri Sahin? Did he play for Liverpool?
Ooh,
well done, Luke
He did.
Moore. 3 left. That wasn't one of the more guessable ones I thought of. I'm really pressure got that.
Hit that button. Let's get us a fucking decider.
Don't you tell me what to do.
He can't have another one.
Don't you tell me what to do.
Because he was part of the Owen part exchange. Nunez, Antonio Nunez.
Correct.
Wonderfully played, sir.
Okay.
Do you know what? The other 2 I think are more guessable than what you've got. Vish,
I can't argue with that.
That is very well played.
I can't argue with that.
But we're back to the beginning.
So how many left?
2 left. Lads, this is a magnificent round. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, that these 2 are the belt holders. This is unbelievable stuff.
I can't think of another one.
It's Torres to give Chelsea a place in the Champions League final. The headline has been written.
Yari Littmanen.
Vish, to win the game and the belts.
It's Torres.
I only have one name.
Chelsea a place.
I swear Jerzy Dudek played for Real Madrid or went to Real Madrid.
He's got it. Well played. Fuck you now.
Unbelievable
I should have got that. I should have got
Oh,
that one. 2-0.
what a win. He's back, baby. He's back.
That is annoying because you've been away for ages.
The other one was, when I had a little go with this on the training ground, and I stressed the training ground because I'm not in the...
I mean,
in the
did you
pressure.
say was it
The last-
Antonio Nunez was one of them?
Yeah, yeah.
And
I've
that
fucking
was-
never heard of
that
him.
was very
He was
impressive.
part of the Owen exchange.
Yeah, very
Right.
impressed
With
with that.
someone else?
Sahin as well. But the one that you didn't get, which I got, was Nicholas Anelka.
Oh, of course.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Don't worry about it, Vish, you won.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Lads, 9 out of 10. That is very, very impressive. A wonderful game there.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it, though, does it? It doesn't feel like a wonderful game. It feels like a
Vish,
shit game.
I tell you
Should
what,
have. Oh, that's risky though. Going Dudek ahead of Anelka. I
Oi.
mean, I didn't know Anelka, but
that is massive time. He's back in there. Both belts.
Well played, Vish.
And that's why.
Be right back. I'm just looking at the schedule for next Friday. Oh, it's not on again. What a fucking surprise.
am I not?
No.
I thought I'm on for like quite.
Do some work.
Spoilers, come on.
I was about to say, Rory, if I'm on.
Spoilers. People care who's on.
Oh, dear.
Hold on,
Well,
I'm just going to go into my Instagram and open up a message I got on Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve. Was it from me?
Fish, how
You can show all the posh nonsense you want, but the real show of character is when you put the lineal belt on the line.
That's not from me, is it?
No.
I don't remember saying that.
Who's that from?
Jordan Whitting.
Oh, Jordan.
Now we
you've
move
given
on
away-
to now we move on to the liars.
Jordan Whitting, your boy took one hell of a beating.
Where are you fucking coward?
To be fair, that was me.
Won't give it away. Manchester United are shit, but you're even shitter for not even turning up to Luke's game.
It's Jack's Encyclopaedia anyway, not Luke's game.
If I had your number, I'd send you voice notes like your brother. That's Kieran. 3 days ago.
I think Fish has kept pretty quiet up till now.
Yeah. Fish, it's a great win
Have
for
a
you,
nice
mate.
Christmas. That's the other one.
There we are. That was from me, though. Vish, how are you going to celebrate both belts tonight?
Oh, yeah, both. I am going to.
Go up to Wings, presumably.
Get yourself up to wing.
I'm going to Steve Austin it. I'm going to stand on a lamppost and hold both up.
Do a Manny Pacquiao. Book yourself into the casino over the road to do a singing set after your fight.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, you should do that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for listening to the Football Ramble, part of the Acast Creator Network. We three kings are back tomorrow for the mailbag. Do follow us on X, Blue Sky, TikTok and Instagram at Football Ramble. In the meantime, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. I think there's only one thing we can say. Obviously, the keys to the weekend have unlocked the gate and you're off. But it's to the sound of Vish doing karaoke to Pitbull.
Oh, it's got to be, isn't it?
It absolutely has to be.
It's got to be that. Vish, congratulations to you. Welcome back. You've shown that you're a great competitor. You have to say that. I mean, he's been out of practice. He's not been here for months.
Yeah, stop doing that hand sign, though.
And
Trying to decide which Luke message to read out.
imagine how good you could be if you actually did some work. See you on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone.
There we are. Well done, Visho.
Oh, it's good to be back.
And it's good to have you back.
Yeah. Liverpool Man United at Sunday.
That's all he's got.